everyone, GrayPower 60 here. Welcome back to week 2 of my 12 weeks that I'm going to be doing on a conversation about elder care. Basically my own personal journey in caring for my mom and the research that I do. So I'd like to start off this week. I have my trusty notes here. I'd like to start off with some responses to my last video. I got an overwhelming response. I'm really pleased. A lot of people sharing their own personal experiences and what they had to go through, and it makes me very humble that I'm sharing this with people who appreciate what I'm going through, are going through it now themselves, and I'd like to thank you for your beautiful stories and your wonderful responses. And if you have any questions, please feel free, personal, or if it's just general questions. I am not an authority on the subject. I am not a professional. I don't give out any medical advice. All I do is reference a lot of information from the Alzheimer's Society, where you can look it up online and get all kinds of information. It's just sometimes fun to, or more interesting I should say, to talk to someone and to see how someone else handles the things that you need to handle or may have to handle someday, or wish you could have handled. But there's no point in looking back. You do the best you can, and that's all there is to it. So the first week I just basically talked about communications and how there's areas where I was really lacking in some areas and I really need to improve. And sometimes reading up on it and talking about it, it hits you in the head and you say, oh my gosh, I should have known that, or I should have, you know, we always do the shoulda, coulda, woulda. This week I'm going to be talking about planning activities, and that's going to be all inclusive with daily routine and that kind of thing. And I have to break this down sort of into two parts, because one part is the planning activities, and the second part, and I should have done the second part first, but I'm more prepared for this one, is actually the approach that you need to take with each individual person. And when I'm doing this, I'll of course be referring to my mom, but there are specific things that you really need to look for or watch out for. But we'll get into that next week. For now, what I want to talk about is the planning activities. And the advice the Alzheimer's Society has given is that when you plan for someone with dementia, memory loss, Alzheimer's, you need to focus on that person. So I need to focus on my mom, and I need to know the activity that I need to do, I need to know the approach, and I need to know the place where these things would happen, or that kind of thing. So the first thing I look at, you know, is the person. Okay, so we've got to consider the person's, their likes, their dislikes, their strengths, their abilities, their disabilities, and of course as the disease progresses, adjusting and being flexible in these activities. I've already sort of planned ahead a little bit in getting some great advice from a few people that had to deal with their Alzheimer parent. And one of the things they did was they printed off pictures with the word underneath of things like stove, light, you know, for the light of the switch, on the door of the toilet, a picture of the toilet with, you know, bathroom or toilet underneath, whatever they're more comfortable with, things like that. So those are the things I sort of have to think ahead with, And then also with my mom, with cooking. Um, right now, I think she's good with the cooking. She sometimes will make herself some eggs or bacon. She cooks the potatoes and things like that. Um, so she's okay right now. I can see it progressing maybe in another, and I don't know. I can't even time it. You know, I can't say in 6 months she won't be able to, or in 12 months. I don't know because we don't know. She could be plateaued right now and right through to the rest of her, her third chapter. So we have to be, when we realize that it's progressing, we have to sort of adjust the activities and adjust, you know, and be flexible and make the necessary adjustments when it comes to, that kind of thing. Also remember to keep the person's skills and abilities. So at what level, what have they been able to do? What are they doing? Mom has always been a golfer all her life. That's all she talks about when she sees somebody. Can't wait to go golfing, she says. So I want to be able to encourage that come the spring. I think there is a place in the city where it's an indoor driving range where they can at least practice their swing. I'm going to look that up and maybe take her on a day, probably when it's quiet during the week, and give her a chance to get into practice again and get the muscles that she hasn't been using, because I don't think she's golfed. I think it'll be 2 years this summer because of my stepdad and so on. So we need to keep their skills and abilities in mind. So what do they really enjoy, and how much of that can they do? How much are they able to do? And that's kind of testing the waters thing. The other thing is to pay attention to what they enjoy. For me, it's with my mom. Right now, she's loving knitting. She is really enjoying it. One of the girls on YouTube, Lisa, I believe, Lisa from Lisa's Halls, had showed a picture on Facebook of a little owl she would love to have, and it was a knitted or a crocheted owl. And I showed it to my mom, and she said I could do that. And I printed off the picture. There's no instructions. I printed off the picture for her, and now she's attempting it. She wanted to try it before she said, "Oh, I'll try it tomorrow," but she went to bed with doing a little bit of it, and then she got tired and put the lights out and went to sleep. So we need to kind of pay attention to what people enjoy. The other thing is to consider whether they can actually do activities without direction. There are certain things that mom can do without, I'll say, "Mom, do you want to peel the potatoes?" Well, she knows how to peel potatoes, and she knows sometimes she forgets where they are because we just moved in here. So as the doctor and I talked about mom, we're going to give her about 3 or 4 months to kind of get settled and get used to where everything is. This is very new to her. So we're going to see how that goes. So there are some activities where they need direction, and there's other activities where they can do it on their own. So those are the other things to consider. And then also be aware of the physical problems. If there's any particular difficulty in either hearing or seeing or performing certain movements. With mom, it's her hearing, so we have to ensure that whatever it is that she's doing, she'll be able to hear what's going on. So that's kind of, as you're planning the activities, you kind of have to have all of that sort of stuff in your head first. So activities are also inclusive of, and I've got notes here, but some of them I'm going to kind of skip through because I had printed these off because I wanted to be sure I didn't forget anything really important. So one of the things when you're planning activities can include everything from daily routine, like getting dressed, brushing their teeth, making breakfast and that kind of thing. We got to, that'll be sort of all inclusive of the activities, is to include sort of their daily routine stuff. But let's focus on how much they enjoy it, not what they accomplish, not whether it's good or whether it's bad. I gave the example last week about Mom doing the dishes, for instance. Tonight we were finished supper. She loves to do the dishes, and I let her enjoy herself. She feels useful. She feels she's helping me, and that's what I want. I want her to feel she's needed and that she's really doing a great job. And I thank her every time she finishes the dishes. Oh, Mom, thanks so much, for doing that for me. So in saying that, when I used that example, the example was when she was washing the dishes, sometimes she would forget about the dish soap. Beside the dish soap, I have also hand soap. It's a pump and it comes out in a foam. It's just, in case you need to have you have dirty hands and you want to wash them. And I have now just thought, I think I'll put it under the cupboard because we don't really use it that much. And Mom thought it was for the dishes and she was using it. And I just said, oh, that's for your hands, Mom. She said, oh, well, it works pretty good. So, sense of humor. And I just said, yeah, just use the other one. And, but you know what? The dishes are clean. I said, I know, they're clean. No worries, Mom. It's not a big deal. And what I should have done, I think, in hindsight, what I should have done maybe is not say a word, because soap is soap, right? But not say a word and maybe just put it away so that there's only one container on the counter. Because these are things that she's not used to seeing from when she was doing things in her own house. So focus on the enjoyment and not on the achievement. The other is to encourage involvement in daily life. So those are things like helping me do the dishes or asking Mom to, would you like to peel the potatoes for me? And she gets so excited about that. Yes. And I let her peel the potatoes. I don't care how. I don't care how they look. She's very good at it. I let her enjoy herself. I want her to feel she's needed, and she is. Because believe me, my house would not be as clean as it is if it weren't for my mom. So that's the benefit, and I tell her that often. So the whole point of that is to make sure that that person feels like they're valued as part of the home, and I want her to feel valued as part of the home, and I want that. Some people, you can find an activity that's related to their work life. So if they were a farmer, for instance, I mean, mostly I'm talking about Mom, but supposing your father, you're looking after your father, and he was a farmer all his life, find an activity in the garden or in the yard that he could do. A simple thing, pulling weeds, looking after the flowers, anything that would make him feel that he's contributing is an awesome thought. I need to be reminded of these things for myself. My mom has always been someone who stayed at home. I mean, she worked when I was very young and up until I left home, but she's always cared for somebody. It's either been my grandmother or my father, or my stepfather. She's always cared for somebody, so her home to her is very important, and she needs that acceptance. She needs to be needed, and I need her because my house is so clean when she's here, and I love it. I just get busy, and housework has always been sort of not a priority. So the other thing is to look for favorites. Look for, like if a person enjoyed drinking a cup of coffee, this is an example here, and reading the newspaper, make sure you have a newspaper available and coffee ready for them and things like that. Mom, when she first moved in with me, she'd asked, shush, I don't know why the dog is whining today. I've taken him out 5 times in the snow. Anyway, so I got the newspaper for Mom, and we tried it for a month. and every morning it got delivered, and she would get up in the morning, she would make herself breakfast and read her newspaper, and then she got bored with it because the newspapers today are not like they used to be, where they were full of information. Now everything is online, and she doesn't go on her computer anymore. She used to play games on her computer, and she doesn't do it anymore. So this is the stage that she's at. So now we have the television on, the local news. Well, it's a national news station that also includes local news. So she has that instead. So she decided she didn't want the newspaper anymore. So look for something that, you know, and look for signs that if they do, like my mom, she didn't enjoy the newspaper. I don't know whether she just didn't want to read it anymore, because Mom was always an avid reader. And I know she hasn't been reading lately, so I'm going to sort of test the water and see if she still enjoys reading or if she finds it difficult. I know she likes certain magazines. I think it's Woman's World. She loves to read it, and every once in a while she'll get it. But lately I've noticed that she is not as anxious to get it. And before it was every month, every month, every month. So I'm wondering if there's an issue with understanding now the written word. I don't know. That's something I could check. So look for favors. Change the activities when needed. So, you know, if there comes a time when Mom can't boil the potatoes for me or put the potatoes on, then I'll ask her to peel them, and I'll say, as soon as you're done, let me know, and I'll come in, and, you know, we ease it slowly, and try and help that. Consider the time of day is another thing, and I hadn't thought of that, but there are certain times of day when they're more into their activity than others. Some people are morning people, and some people are afternoon or evening people. But when it comes to specific, what they're also talking about here is considering the time of day, considering that, for instance, when to bathe, when to wash, when to get dressed, you know, have kind of a routine going. There may come a point in time when I'll have to get a calendar, and it'll just basically have a picture of, you know, taking a bath or washing or brushing teeth or whatever, but it's not at that stage now. But I have to think about it, that I have to think ahead. And the last thing is, you know, to adjust the activities as the diseases progress. And that's also something I'm sort of planning ahead for. But by doing this research and doing this series every week, I'm finding that I'm learning more about myself than anything else. I'm really learning about me. And there's a lot of things I don't like about me. And there's a lot of things I do like. There's a lot of things that I think I'm being patient about. And there's a lot of times when I'm not. And I had given you an example a little while back where when Mom first moved in, she said I talked rough to her because I was trying to raise my voice for her to hear, and I was trying to enunciate my words, but it sounded angry to her. It frightened her, it scared her, it hurt her feelings. I didn't realize it, and even, you know. And the other day, Mom and I were in the car, and we were talking about when she fell and when we could no longer have, she could no longer look after my stepdad, and he had to go into nursing care, and where his children were looking after his concerns, and I look after Mom's, because that legally is what we've done. I'm my mom's power of attorney, and his kids are his power of attorney. And what has happened here is that I talked about something, and we were sort of talking in general, and I said something to the effect, the conversation was similar to, um, the plan was to have you and David go into a nursing home together, but I said, no, I want you with me. Um, but I wouldn't mind a nursing home. And there was more to the conversation, but she completely misunderstood, and I didn't know. She didn't hear everything I said, even though we're confined in the car and it's quiet and my voice is loud enough, because when I speak to Mom in the car, I try. And as soon as we got home, I brought everything in the house. Mom took off her boots. I grabbed the dog and we went out so he could do his business. When I came back, I found my mom crying her heart out, saying, I think you want me to go into a nursing home. And I was shocked and hurt because I hurt her, because she misunderstood. So now I have to shorten my sentences with Mom. We discussed it last week about the conversation. I need to, when I talk about things to Mom, have it short. Make sure she understood what I said. What do you think, Mom? How about that? You know, like try and shorten it. But I was babbling on. We had a good day. We were da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I didn't realize that she didn't catch the whole conversation. And I cried. I hugged her. I held her. Mom, I cried because I hurt my mom. And I didn't even know it. So, communication for me, you know, and making activities, making Mom feel useful, making her feel part of our daily life. And I tried to tell her, and I keep telling her, this is your home. It's not my home. It's your home. I'm living with you. Trying to make that point, but she doesn't feel like it's her home yet. It will in time. So I hope this is going to help you. I hope you enjoyed this series. Please leave me a comment. Let me know if you had to experience some of these things, or if you had trouble with your parent, getting them involved, getting them to do things. And did you notice a point when they were doing things and they couldn't do it anymore? And if you have any questions, any personal, you know, regarding me and Mom, please feel free. I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining me tonight. I'm learning. It's a heartbreaking, emotional journey. It's a big learning curve. And I have to keep reminding myself that this is not the same mom I had when I was a little girl, because my mom was quick, sure of herself, and so much more. So I have to remember that she is very emotional, and that I love her very much, and I have to tell her every day. Thanks for joining me, guys. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Share, let other people know. I'd appreciate that. And we'll see you soon. Bye for now.